these meetings, and that's exactly what I was told. Now, there's another thing that bothers me. I think that if they're very far back off the road, you say a couple poles. Now, when you start setting a whole bunch more poles to get out to an existing line, somebody said once that these lines had to be three-phase lines where they out along the road.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I don't think a lot of them are, so there's going to be a lot of monkeying around. And when they started talking, now I realize that these things are smaller, and you could bring them in a narrower road. But those other things, you had to have some 30-foot wide, even of the little roads of the town to get in there, and they're probably all right, but
That all needs to be smoked out.
I think there's a lot of things to be looked into.
It's more than just come up with a fee for the building permit.
Yes, and far more important for a longer period of time.
So
Thank
who's going to be the contact point here to set up meeting time and so forth, to coordinate the things? Do we count on the planning board to do that?
Yes.
And then if it meets the done schedule and a couple of members of the board, I think that's where we have to go.
Yep.
And have a meeting right here.
Okay. Very good. Do we want to set that up before the next town board meeting, or how do we want
I
to?
would think so.
Okay.
If all of a sudden
I mean, I can use this contact
put
person.
onto somebody
get in
else's
touch with
land,
Perhaps the
they
most
gotta set a whole
complicated
bunch of
schedule we have
poles
to worry
on
about.
somebody
right,
else's
from-
land to get out.
When is the text town board meeting? I thought it was the fourth Wednesday. You were saying with Art, it's not that, it's the 26th, I thought.
It's the 26th.
Okay.
26th.
Okay,
26th
so it's 28 days for
The
Art to
fourth
get his
Wednesday, yeah.
stuff done. Okay.
So perhaps we could get together with Mrs. Dunn and then
Okay.
just contact probably the rest of us.
Okay.
So, is there a member on the board here who would like to be
It didn't
involved
make
with
any
that?
difference if these things
I don't
needed
think
to
it's
be
the whole board.
succeeded.
I don't-
What
I've
they
been
were
following
after
this thing for
was a
4 months
government
now, so-
subsidy. And I asked where these people, if this was
And I
the
come to the
same.
planning board.
I
Is
think
there
it
anybody
is.
else that would like to be involved with that? I guess you're it, Chris.
Okay.
Contact me also if I can make it, I will.
Yeah.
As long as we don't have a majority of the board there and
Yeah.
at the same time, we're all,
Yeah. Very good.
okay?
Very good.
And they're probably gonna make a formal submission and then we'll have a public hearing in July.
Well, as I said, we're gonna go over, the seeker, because there's quite a lot of blanks, so we wanna go over it pretty well with a fine tooth comb, make sure there's no questions on our end, and then take it from there. And then we like to do kind of like a formal public hearing, or try to schedule like a formal public hearing for the next meeting, which is gonna be in July.
And they've seen our solar law, and I think they've styled their array to meet our setbacks and our buffering and fences and so forth there. So it's good we have that in place, so that will protect the residents. It abuts like 3 or 4 properties
I
on.
don't think there's anything to protect.
It's in the field above the Southbury Road homes.
The main
Yes.
thing.
Is where it lines up. So
Anything
Birding
for,
farm, right?
anything else, Joe?
Well, that'll be all.
That's it?
Mhm.
Okay. Motion to accept his report.
I make a motion we accept.
Okay, a second.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion or questions for our
Yeah.
planning board? If there's no further questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Okay, next one up is the Board of Ethics.
Okay, I've had 2 complaints to the ethics board, and I'm gonna cover one tonight. But the other one that we received was really beyond our scope of investigation. So we've turned that over to the New York State Police, the BCI unit. And I haven't heard back from them. They're still doing the investigation. I gave them all the documentation that I received. And so I'll be following up with them before the next board meeting. Hopefully we'll have a report out from them, but that's not something that we felt was our ability to do the investigation, a thorough investigation. So the second complaint that we received, we reviewed a complaint made against Christopher Novak's performance at the Montgomery County Legislature meeting. The complaint is listed as follows. Mr. McLaughlin, town supervisor, stated that he believes Mr. Novak was unethical in how he introduced himself as a councilman, and then proceeding to say that he was speaking for the Palatine Town Board, claiming that the board required more time to deliberate. And so, in looking at all the materials submitted to us, the newspaper article, we got into discussion over that. We discussed it with the town attorneys. In addition, I talked to one of the legislators to understand, did they videotape the meeting? Which they did. So we had the opportunity, the ethics board, to listen to the meeting and what was said, so that everyone understands. We weren't there, you know, we had the documentation, but it was very good. It really helped us to understand what was being said in the paper. Was the paper accurate? Because sometimes it's very biased. And so we were able to watch the video, listen to it, and be able to form our opinion. So after deliberation and review with the town attorneys, we've determined that this complaint is a conflict of interest. This falls under Town of Palatine Local Law Number 5 of 2017, the Ethics Law, Section 3, Conflict of Interest in the following areas. Now each of you, you don't have to write it down. I'm going to give you a copy of all the documentation that we have. E is a town officer, municipal employee, public official, employee or consultant shall not disclose confidential information acquired in the course of his or her official duties, except when the legitimate interest of the town requires disclosure to town officials, or use such information to further his or her personal interest. That was E. Under F, a town officer, municipal employee, public official, employee or consultant shall not take action on a matter before the town or any instrumentality thereof when, to his or her knowledge, the performance of the action would provide a pecuniary or material benefit to himself or herself. And then under 11, a town official, municipal employee, public official, employee or consultant shall not appear on behalf of or represent a person in any matter before a municipal department, board, commission, agency, or other municipal body, section, or function. However, a town officer, municipal employee, public official, employee, or consultant may appear on his or her own behalf. Based on reviewing all the information, it is our recommendation that the town board consider taking disciplinary action and or legal action. We are not the ones that can tell you what to do. We can only give you our recommendation. And it would be, our recommendation also is that you should listen to the video that is out there as you consider what you feel you need to do. Yes?
Was Mr. Novak available for you to interview?
No, we did not feel it was necessary to interview him after we listened to the video. I mean, he spoke on the video. It was very clear what he was saying. And as we looked at our ethics law, we truly felt that, that he was in violation of the ethics. I don't feel that we had to interview him as we had the live video
can you say what confidential, two-part questions. What confidential information may have been disclosed? And then the second part is, what pecuniary or material benefit could Mr. Novak have gained from this behavior?
Well, in the situation in talking with the Duns, he expressed information that he gained from the Duns in that meeting. And that was attorney-client information. And that's what Greg was talking about earlier in this meeting. I think he explained it pretty clearly, better than I could explain it from that perspective. As far as what he could gain, I think we all know Chris is running for supervisor. And this being in the paper gave him publicity that he didn't have to pay for the publicity on it. I mean, it was out there. And it came very much across that you were representing the town.
If what you say is true, though, wouldn't the publicity have as much chance of being negative as positive in this particular instance?
I don't know that it did, but it still gained his name out in the public.
As well as the picture. His picture was on the front page of the paper too.
Yes,
Or in the, two different papers.
So would you regard that as a pecuniary or material benefit of any sort?
He got his name out there and his picture out there. I mean,
Right.
you know.
Can I add something?
Sure, absolutely.
It put Mr. Novak appeared to be in a leadership position. And the other statement I would say is if he had opened his remarks by saying, I'm here, identify himself if he wants to as a councilman, but saying, I'm here as a private citizen. I am not here on behalf of the town of Palatine tonight. That would have made me feel much more comfortable.
Well, according to what, of course, you guys have seen the tape, but according to what he said here tonight, he did do what you just described.
Watch the video.
Thank you.
Can I ask, you mentioned something about legal, taking some kind of legal action. What would that pertain? I mean, would we have to do an Article 78? Would we have to do?
Well, and that's something, yeah, you have to talk to an attorney other than the Duns, since they participated in the discussion with us and given us legal advice. You'd have to look at other outside counsel. So I really think it's something that the board needs to look at, our recommendation. You probably should review what we did on the video to understand, take a look at it. I mean, that's where we stand on it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Entertain a motion to accept the Board of Ethics report.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion?
Move to table this for consideration in any greater depth till the next meeting. Needs study.
Okay, there's a sub-motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, there being no second to that motion, we'll entertain further discussion on the first motion. All those in favor of accepting the report, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no.
No.
Okay. And let the record show that Chris didn't vote. All right, we have accepted their report. Now it's time to decide what to do with the report. That certainly is an option to go home, think about it, and as our ethics board recommended, get on YouTube and take a look at the presentation before the county board. Okay, compare that to the, for lack of a better term, causes of action put forth in the ethics report. In the meantime, be thinking of a council that you would like to hire, if that indeed is a possibility that we want to entertain.
If the Article 78 start flying around here, they could land in many different places.
What's your point, Hank?
My point is that, I don't know, what's the biblical saying? If you pick up the gun, you could also die by it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
I don't think there were any guns in the Bible, whatever they had.
Yeah, I understand your point. It's a point well taken. And we certainly have chewed up a lot of money on legal fees. This year in particular. If there wasn't all this infighting on the board in this type of activity, we would have a lot less in legal fees.
I agree with you, but you know, Bill, with the highest possible regard for you, you came in here with a chip on your shoulder. And that went back to the very first meeting.
Okay, that's your opinion.
That is my opinion.
Okay.
And part of the thing is structural. I mean, we've been continuing a couple of traditions that were here before probably any of us were on this board. And I think both traditions have something to be said for them. And we haven't done real well with it because some of us like to fight, some of us like to manipulate. And I'm not excusing our side. Some of us like to play games, but if we start escalating this into more and more rarefied legal areas, it's going to be a bad thing, in my opinion.
Your very speech, our side and your side, tells me all I need to know.
But you already knew and came in manifesting that you believed that
There
was
was
the
a
case.
lot of trouble here.
Yes, there was.
Look around us.
But you know what?
Lawsuits involved with putting up a new building, arguing over a $500,000 asset or not.
You know
And I
what? There was
propose
a
$5,000
there was
asset,
a-
and you want to argue.
There was a 2-year hiatus where that basically wasn't happening. And you're skipping that whole era. So I don't agree with you in the sense that it's continuous.
Okay.
I think he means it's because it's the same group of people that seem to be fighting the
Yeah.
town and the board over a building or either building a new one or buying a building that we would have to renovate.
Yeah, is a key issue. There's
It
probably
is, yes.
some cultural
And because of
issues,
that, it
too.
causes legal fees because some of the people sued the town.
Yeah, well, I wasn't one of them.
I'm not saying that, but,
Well,
and it's
okay.
still going on, so.
Does somebody have a different idea on how to handle this ethics complaint?
I think we ought to watch the film, as you said, and not do anything right now, because this is like hot off the griddle.
Mhm. Is there an objection to that? I mean,
Go watch the video first and come back with
I think that's sound reasoning.
a idea next meeting.
Okay. Do we need a formal motion, or can we just be in agreement to do that and show up next meeting with this and some education? Is that okay?
I'm in agreement with it.
Okay. What do you think, Hank? Can I do
Yeah.
differently?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
That's what I suggested with the table motion.
Okay. Supervisor's budget report. As usual, I gave you the numbers, and I've got to say at this point, we're doing very well in the budget area. It looks good to me. Does anybody have any comment on the spending levels and what we did budget-wise? Next month, we'll be halfway through the year.
Well, I think this would be the opportune time, since we're discussing budget. We were supposed to submit a capital plan to the controller's office by third quarter last year.
Mhm.
And we are now heading into third quarter this year and we don't have it.
We don't.
So
I have been terribly delinquent then.
what plans are we gonna have in place to fulfill that?
Well, let's think back a little bit here. I gave a 10-year capital application plan, which I subsequently sent to the State Department. And you keep harping about my not giving a capital
Well,
plan.
we never approved a capital plan as a board or submitted it or discussed it.
We
So,
didn't make a motion, we didn't go through all that stuff.
correct.
I submitted that stuff to the State Department as a reply to their audit.
So you
And
submitted
they
it alone.
accepted it. No, I submitted it when this board reviewed it and decided what to put in the budget for capital expenditures.
We have
It was
not,
all right out on the table.
we have not put together a multi-year capital expenditure budget.
Okay.
That's what I'm discussing because it was one of the items, and if we're going to make plans for the future, there were two pieces of equipment brought up at today's meeting. One would be a rubber-tired excavator, the other one's a truck. We need to have a capital plan extending out at least 36 to 60 months and see if it works within the budget. We raised taxes 60% based upon the need for this extra money for this capital plan, and I'm trying to find out where is the capital plan.
Because you talk loud and say big things, it makes it truth, right? 60% tax increase.
Town taxes.
Wow.
Town
Where
taxes
was
went
I?
up.
I missed that.
Well, you know what? You want to quibble over the percentage, be my guest, but I'm saying we've raised taxes based upon a capital plan that doesn't exist.
Yes,
You
it does
just-
exist. That's wrong.
We have not approved a capital plan as a board. I'll say it again. But go ahead, that's fine. I got my answer. There is no capital plan.
You're trying to put words in my mouth now. I don't agree with you, Chris. But we'll let it fly, like you said. Your word is final, it's truth. We'll let her roll. Okay, we pretty much covered the old business with the Pizza Hut deal and ethics complaint. It's been handled. You'll notice my agendas are shorter and shorter. We had the website discussion. Now I'd like to entertain a motion to pay the abstracts.
Excuse me, Mr. Supervisor, on the website discussion, I don't remember that we resolved anything with that.
Oh, okay.
We
What do you wanna do?
Okay, we came back last meeting, we said we wanted, matter of fact, Sean brought it up, that we'd like to review all the content that goes, and you want I believe, Sean, you said you want all applications on the website, correct?
The website should have all applications, how to get a hold of people, the planning board members, like, Joe's not here, he left, but take, that comprehensive plan, that needs to be scanned in and put in on the website for the public to review. Anything that has to do with town business
Hours
should
of
be on the,
operation.
excuse
The
me?
hours of operation.
Hours of operation, just anything that has to do with town business should be on that town website.
Okay.
Whether it be building permits, planning board information, how to go about doing the seeker reviews, or how to go about to get a hold of the border assessment review, zoning board, all that stuff. Just put it all on the website, and then like Joe brought up with the comprehensive plan, if you want to get it out to the public, well, other than buying a big section in the paper and spending more money, let's just scan it in, put it on the website, and anybody that has a computer can review it.
I agree that all if not most of those things, I agree, should be right on there right
Anything that
now.
has to do with this town and town business, and that's public knowledge beyond that website.
I also believe we should set a set of rules and standards for what goes on and what doesn't go on, and whether a lot of towns allow the town website to be like a community bulletin board.
We can't do that.
But I think we're not ready for that.
I just strictly town business.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just want
Town business,
governmental
yes.
information.
Anything that pertains to this town, like I just said, permits,
Well,
board, different boards, different committees, all that stuff needs to be on that
it
website.
should have, a long time ago.